Now we are rolling. Hi Andres, how are you doing? Happy to see your
Hey,
face.
sort of. Happy to see your face too, man.
How are things in Argentina? How has lockdown been for you? I believe you've created a whole online venture. You're building courses in Spanish and you're also, of course, teaching day in, day out. How are things?
Oh man, things have been good for me. This year was strange for everybody, of course, but for me, I always wanted to go back to creating something connected to teaching, and I felt because we met in India, and for me that was an awakening. I really wanted to go back to teaching in the same way and have my own rules. And this year I created those online courses that I've been dreaming about those and thinking about those for a long time, but being out of touring and just at home gave me like the space to create. And I started in March, and yeah, I've been teaching a lot, and I love that. I really love that. Those are in Spanish. Soon I'm gonna release a course in English, but mainly I've been teaching in Spanish, and it's good, man. I have my studio. This is like I call it the Rotmikueva, which
What
means
does
like
that mean?
Rotmi cave,
Oh,
which
nice.
is a very small space, but full of bases and full of music. Things have been good for me this year. Just spending time with the family, like a tribe, and just playing and teaching music, which I love, man.
It's true.
How are things for you?
Very good. I'm kind of on the same track. I use this time to build courses, of course, the School of Bass. And as you chose to do it in Spanish, I chose to do it in Hindi. And
Got it. Yeah.
so Spanish is one of the languages I want to learn. It's on my bucket list. I'm gonna get down to it very soon, and will
Maybe
be
when I
learning
go
it.
to India, we get to I learn Hindi and you learn Spanish.
We'll do that. So Andres, one very fascinating thing about you I've seen over the last few years, since I've known you, since I got to study with you, is that you're a man of consistency. And even after being a touring musician, being in New York, you still have about 340 videos on YouTube. How do you be so consistent? What is your philosophy and thought process behind making so much content and being able to put out so much content?
That's a good question, and it's not totally conscious. It's not something that I always have my journals, which look like this. I have like 7 of these, and I
Wow.
write things down and I get things done, like what to do. I love lists, to do lists, and it keeps me in track. And I generally I feel that I love doing those things so much that I just do them. It's kind of like a priority. Like my mindset is like I love playing bass and I love playing with singers, and I cannot afford a full band, or so I just call a singer. At least before, when I was recording a lot of duets, I just call singers. And just being in New York, I was so inspired by the music scene and the singers. Just call them, hey, you want to play some music, play duo? Yeah, let's do it. And then I just kept doing it. And but not only that, also, in general, I feel that I like to sharing. So I felt that just recording videos was a way of sharing, and that was like a that was so inspiring for me, and I really wanted to do that. I wasn't thinking about views or money, or just how I just wanted to be there doing that thing. That's why I felt everything that I've done in my life, I've done it really like with a lot of intensity. Like when
Right.
when I was producing videos for my just duo videos, or just music lessons mainly in Spanish. I just did it a lot because I love doing that. Same with the courses. I started the online courses, and I just loved. my courses are 2 weeks every day, and I already opened 52 courses. So
Hmm.
it's like open a course because I really feel like a lot of energy and I get inspired. It's like a back and forth, you know. Um, so I guess it's like just staying organized and just doing what you want to do, and that's a big lesson for me this year. Just because everything is so unpredictable, and I'm so thankful for life. You know, like every day I wake up, I'm thankful for my family, being able to play music. So I just do what I really love doing every day, and I felt that I had to struggle a bit to get to this point. It wasn't like a magical thing. But for me, I only do like if I'm here with you, it's because I want to be here with you. You know what I mean? Like I really
Hmm.
and I could be here with you maybe every day for 10 years because I love doing this. But
Hmm.
when I set a priority, I just do it, and I do it kind of a lot. Like for example, this week, these 2 weeks, past week and next week, I'm not teaching the courses, which we've been talking about getting together for a long time, and because that's my priority, it's like so intense for me that I don't have much time because I'm also a father and I want to spend time with my
Hmm.
kid and music. But like now I have these 2 weeks, I want to like just have a conversation with you, and I just want to maybe like create things like this that are inspiring for me.
Right.
I don't know if I
So
answer your question, but just
I kind of get it, and it seems like that the consistency, there is this intensity when you decide to do something that you really love. So you loved playing bass, and you had this intensity towards getting things done. Now, a lot of
yeah.
us, a lot of people um have this love for music, but the intensity that you particularly had towards let's record stuff, let's share it with people. I don't want to worry about views. And I remember many years ago when we were talking, you were telling me also to do the same, that hey man, just start the camera, record stuff, be on social media. But I was too shy to do that, and I was too almost ashamed of the way I used to play, that I couldn't record myself and put myself out there. Did you face that at any point of time, that you felt I'm not good enough to record things and put out there, or even give somebody a call to collaborate with them?
I guess my perspective was a bit different. Not that I felt like, wow, I'm so good. Yeah, it wasn't like that, but it was more like for me, recording a video and putting it out there. It's not about showing like showcase of what I can do. It's more like I want to learn, and I want to learn in the process. Like if you were saying I have over 300 videos. Most of them I think are just duos or just playing solo bass. For me, it was a lesson. Just for me, it was to record a video and put it out there. It's like playing in front of people,
Hmm.
and it's not the same as practicing at home. So for me, I watched them again, maybe like a video uh, that's been out there for like a vintage YouTube video for 10 years, and I feel I've learned so many things on the way, and I'm glad I put it out there, and I could get better, and it wasn't my best, and it's weird like sometimes because I'm not very perfectionist in a way. I don't aim for perfection. I aim for the moment, and I feel that music is not about chops or just it's about just sharing something that it's meaningful to you and being in the moment, and you don't need anything more than that. And I think music is about community. So when you put it out there, maybe you meet people, maybe opportunities come, maybe you learn something about yourself, and that was my main goal, like just learning. It was like a lesson for me. So I like feeling not feeling great about my playing because that inspired me. So I put a video out. Maybe I watch it. I'm not a person that watches my videos a lot. I don't really watch them too much, almost ever. Sometimes I watch a video after years and I notice like there's a mistake with the editing or something because I haven't watched them again.
Hmm.
But I think it's nice to put it out there and say, oh, maybe I was rushing the tempo, or like I felt my groove wasn't there, or like I was messing the form, whatever. I think it's a great way to learn. It's like going to school.
Yep.
So I always advise and encourage people to just do it because it's a great tool that we have nowadays, and and it's not about being great. And I personally, I don't. Whenever I see a video that doesn't, you know, doesn't make me feel great, I don't watch it. I just want to watch music and listen to music that makes me feel good and inspires me.
It's interesting. Actually, I've always been told when I was studying music that always write down what you have practiced today, always write down what you've learned. And it seems that the YouTube process is such a simpler way to do all that. Also, you are told that you should record yourself. And as you just mentioned, that unless you record, you won't understand that you're rushing or are you pulling back or what are you doing with the harmony? Is your comping correct? So on and so forth. But when you decide to do the YouTube thing, you're actually kind of practicing and playing it in front of people. And when you record the whole thing, it becomes real. It's something you can, it's almost like a journal, online journal that you can go through. Okay, in
Yeah,
2001, I was here, two is like this, three is like this. And personally, like the moment, there's this quote I came across about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, about it says, done is better than perfect. And it really helped me personally to put out content. And I hear the same from you that you're not a perfectionist, and I feel that it's your biggest strength when you are able to just put that much stuff out on a daily basis. It really is inspiring. I mean, there are a bunch of songs I've just picked up and done a duo gig sometime back, and I transcribe you actually. I mean, you're of course my teacher. I do that a lot. uh, it's been a lot of fun. I've been thinking you spend a lot of time as an outsider in America, and a lot of people are also from India who want to go abroad, study, and then invest their lives or many years or some years of their lives living there, studying there, or playing there, and being part of the whole American music culture. So, as an advice, if you think um, of somebody from India who wants to go outside India and study in America, particularly, because that's what you have lived for yourself. Do you have a priority of a city a musician should go to and be a part of? Is it New York in your head that okay, New York is the place to be where people can learn the most, get the most inspiration? And how do they become part of the music scene, even if they go there?
that's a good question. I think you have to, think about where you want to be. Like I think about my goals all the time, and I always advise people to do that too. If you want to, if you want to improve in the, a jazz, playing jazz or almost anything, really, like New York is, huge um, spot for music in any style. I would say maybe like there's 3 or 4 points. If you want to learn Latin music, maybe go to Latin America. But if you want to go to the US, go to Miami. If you want to, get into the singer-songwriter folk scene, maybe go to Nashville, which is also a nicer place and more affordable. If you want to get into the session scene and just play with artists and be in the recording studio, and maybe go to LA. And if you want to just get a feeling of a city that it's alive, it's kind of rough in a way, but New York is a great place to be. And my advice in any city, and mainly New York because that's the one I've been for 11 years, just go to shows, talk to people, tell them that you play music, tell them that you want to play with them. Just be out and play with everybody without thinking about how
Me, Andres?
perfectly.
Perfectly.
Yeah,
Okay.
see me and hear me.
Yes, now you're back. I think something happened to the internet. So you were saying about don't think about the money, just play. And after that,
Um,
could you continue from
yeah,
there, please?
I think it's more like just be really honest. Be really honest on what you want, and that was one of the biggest lessons that I've learned living in New York, and I was saying that I carry that with me all the time. It's like a subway pass. Like you just want to go there and you tell them exactly like, hey, I want to teach in your school. I want to go there and I want to talk about this opportunity, and I'm really honest, and I don't have an agenda. I'm just me telling you the truth. And I think that's a great lesson anywhere, but obviously in a city like New York.
So yeah, sharing your exact goal with people and the kind of people you would like to work with really has helped you in New York particularly, right?
But I
Andres, can you see
lost
me?
you. Let's go.
Hold on a second. Just hold on a second. Let me look at my router. All right. We back.
All right.
So communicating your goals exactly with people has helped you find the kind of work that you wanted to do in life and talk to them about it and making things happen for yourself. That's how it worked for you. You exactly told them that I need this
Yeah,
job.
I'm honest. I feel it's like something that I carry with me. Just being honest, because people, you know what, people are not used to an honest talk, an honest conversation. Like people telling you exactly what they want, what they feel. I feel that that was one of the biggest lessons in general, with everything in life, not only music.
Even in relationships, it's something very, very valuable to just be honest about how you're feeling, what you're feeling, and what you're thinking. If you tell your partners about it or your friends about it very honestly, it really helps.
It's about integrity. Just when you do what you say you're gonna do, I think it's awesome, and people are not used to that. Also for teaching, um, sometimes I feel there's tendency to musicians to teach because of it's a job, and I don't anything that I do, nothing I do with for that because it's a job or because it's work. I feel like when I teach, and I remember my experience in India. Remember that we would after dinner we would go to practice together.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the best memories I had, and I wasn't getting paid for that, but for me it's like a memory that I carry with me. It's awesome because I felt it was very special for me, and that's all that matters.
Lessons with you have been very, very special. I'll tell you why. Um, I was studying Hindustani classical before that, and the whole school of thought was about grinding, and music is hard, and you have to sacrifice, compromise, and do a lot of things that almost felt impossible, difficult, and it's not on all teachers, but the clan I happened to be around made things look very difficult. And whatever, I was 21 or something like that time, and eventually when I was 23 or 24, I came to Sam. I met you, and I was almost shocked when I met you for my first lesson. You asked me, "What do you like about your bass playing?" And I didn't have an answer. And you kept on digging that, what is it that you think is your strength? I don't still remember what I answered. Maybe I was dishonest about it because I had to answer to my teacher, who whatever he's asking me about. But there's this whole positive association you created for me towards music, that it's something pleasant, easy, something that embraces you, something that uplifts you. And as compared to the other side of the coin, which is you got to struggle, you got to grind, you got to do that. I kind of developed both the schools, that when I started switching towards the things I love to play, like these days I love playing gospel music. So I'm really getting into that style of bass playing, trying to explore that. Keeps me happy, record it, put it out there. But I also, I'm kind of at war also at times that, hey, I don't feel like doing it right now, but I'm still going to do it. Sometimes I'm tired. I still would sit down and get my work done. Where did you develop this association with things? Because even when you would teach us, you would, draw an animation kind of a thing on the board for us to show what does a sus chord look like, what does a major chord look like, and what does a dominant chord look like. So there is this whole gamification of your concepts, and there is this playfulness that you bring to the table in whatever you do, because your drawing also showcase the same. It's exactly like your bass playing. It's joyful, it's beautiful, it's pretty. Do you remember where you picked this up from, that things need to be done with happiness and joy?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't really thought much about that, but I was lucky to have good mentors, good teachers, and I early on I developed you know what I call the magic wheel, which is like they told me that practice um, gives you freedom, and that gives you opportunities, and you are inspired, and then you practice more, and then you get you feel you can play things that you never imagined, and then you want to practice more, and then you get opportunities, and it's almost like nowadays I maybe I've come to the conclusion that practicing is like a meditation. So it's a really beautiful thing that you connect with yourself. And I've always practiced a lot because I developed my own practice routines tailored for me with the things that I like about my playing and the things that I want to improve in my inner, in my what I hear in my mind, like in my imagination. So I always connect to that, and I also was involved in situations where I didn't feel good about my playing or my person. When I went to different schools of music, I felt that, because I feel I'm very sensitive. In general, I feel things, and some vibes were there, and I felt bad about me, or that and and when I was done with my studies at Berkeley in Boston, I connected. I really like felt that I was going through a lot emotionally, like feelings, and also music theory, and I wanted to I, I felt it was like an awakening when I was done with school. I remember it was winter in Boston, and I was alone. I remember I was playing different gigs, like I was playing salsa, tango, and jazz, but I wasn't playing the music that I really liked. And I was like, you know what? I've been hiding for people because they may think that this music is good, or this music is bad. I was like, I'm gonna play the music that I want to play, and I started playing Beatles music. I was playing songs from Argentina that I felt, and that was my story. It's not real, but I felt that if I if I was in the jazz scene and I would tell somebody that I like a Michael Jackson song, they would look me down or something. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do whatever I like. And I felt that was also like triggering the magic wheel,
Hmm.
and it was getting more inspired. And I also realized that music is not about being proficient, or like playing fast, or like working with music. I have my daughter just turned 4, and we play music with her all the time. That was a big part of our communication, and we connect with that. And I don't feel I'm a musician and she's not. We are both
Hmm.
the same. The same way that if somebody wants to start playing an instrument, I feel so inspired, and I don't feel like I'm the truth. Like I know because I've been practicing music for over 20 years. Listen to me. Not at all. I feel we are all the same, and just the spark of music anyone can have. It's equally valuable. It's the same. Like if I have a big feeling, for music. I have a big passion for music, but I don't see myself as in a different, scenario. I just I want to be a professional musician nowadays. I just want to play music and have my own voice. That's my main goal. I don't want to be a professional musician anymore. I don't want to be proficient to play gigs. I just want to play whatever I feel, because I see myself more like an artist than a session player.
Right.
And but I was lucky to to be able to learn from different schools. Even I was playing gospel music in New York for 6 years every Sunday, and that was a big school for me. But what I mean is, um, I just think music is, it's kind of like a blessing, and anyone can connect to that. And we are all the same, really. We are all equally
Was this something that
connected.
kind of, some voice spoke from inside when you went through that whole experience of, let's say, learning jazz and learning how music should function and how it should be written, and then trying to perform it the best way possible so that you can kind of impress a teacher or impress your peers, and then one day you're realizing that I don't like this stuff. I just like the stuff that I heard as a child, maybe Beatles or Michael Jackson. Because I see your list also, no, on YouTube. It's got these
Yes.
heavy, the Andres Rotmistrovsky quintet is there. It's playing very heavy compositions, and there's the horn section playing those lines that you would hear at Berkeley. And then one day the channel flips. It flips to Michael Jackson. It flips to Beatles. It flips to everything else, and I see a very happy human being suddenly. So that self talk that happened that time, I think just change your personality. So do you suggest that every musician, of course, there are things that you can learn that can help you play a lot of styles of music. Like when you know your arpeggios, for example, properly, then it helps you play pop music better. You can make more choices. You can do things better. So you suggest that people learn what is kind of technically or taught at a school, do the best they can at that, and then they switch to what they love completely and just invest all their energies into playing the music they love.
Yeah, that's a good point. No, first of all, I always suggest to connect with the music that you like, no matter what music it is. Some people might say, "Oh, this is not good." This is, I hear that a lot. Like, this music is not good, or this music is great. Like, agree. I think music is just air, frequencies in the air. We nobody can tell you this is good or this is bad. So I always advise people that want to play music to connect to the music that they like, and that's it. In terms of whatever they study, I always make a big difference between practicing and playing music. To me, it's not the same. So for me, I don't play. I spend a lot of time practicing, and when I practice, I don't practice songs that I like. I just practice arpeggios, like you were saying. Everything that we talked about years ago. That's the things that I practice. I practice a lot of triads. I practice improvisation. I practice everything in 12 keys. That's like my main thing when I practice. And I always practice and aim for music. I aim for that to sound like music. Like somebody would sit down, I'd be on stage, somebody would sit down and they would appreciate the music that is coming out of my practice. Then I always improvise when I practice. It's always about creativity. It's about, playing differently and making it sound new and fresh. And I always challenge myself when I practice. It has to be challenging. And I always split the practice routines in three. Those are rhythm, melody, and technique. So I always have to challenge myself in the three um, columns, and I always practice with a timer. Myself, I practice for 30 minutes, but I advise people to start practicing 10 minutes, maybe 15, and I write down what I practice. And I have to admit I have a lot of fun practicing. It's not something that okay, well, I'm gonna practice, but when I practice, then that gives me like the freedom to connect my imagination, my ideas. So I can really be spontaneous. And then when I play music, I don't practice what I play. Like when I record a video, I don't practice that before. Maybe like I just go over that one time or something. But really, like, I don't prepare too much. And this might be controversial, because I never practice uh, like for a show. Like I have to practice for a show, and then yeah, maybe I could do that if I really needed to. But I feel that if I practice uh, my own musicality, I'm just ready to play anything. I have the tools to play in any key. I have, I know melodies and I know harmonies and I know the rhythms. So I'm really like living this freedom that I think is so beautiful. Does it answer your question?
Yes, I'm curious about one thing, that sometimes what happens is we get stuck in concepts. For example, what you taught me long back, the practicing of inversions of triads of chords, right? Now, the main thing there was that I be able to play that, and then I transition to music. But I happen to forget that aspect. So for years together, I could play the inversions of all the chords in all 12 keys. And then I kind of forgot to start applying it in a song right away, so that, the aim was towards music was something I kind of forgot. So for you, when you're practicing, let's say, you're getting involved into figuring out altered scale in all 12 keys, are you immediately focusing that, okay, after I'm done with my physical routine, my motor skills, my musicality skills, my brain thought processes about the altered scale, I'm going to open up this song and I'm going to apply it right away to the song so that it becomes musical. And then when I go to my next gig, I play it again at the gig. So it really becomes something that's a part of my life.
That's a great question. I always connect, and this also connects to what you were saying before. I always connect music with images and emotions, and I give names to things because I have to make it mine. So, like the altered scale, Superlocrian, however you want to call it, I feel it has a color, it has a flavor, it has a personality. It's like rough, it's aggressive, but it's also beautiful, and it's very subtle in a way, and it can create something that sparks beauty. So I everything that I play, I also connect. I think I don't do that mostly, but because I love music so much, I just connect those things. I never practice something because it's hip or cool, or I always have to connect it to music. And uh, I admit that maybe I can play some symmetrical diminished scales, practice those or altered. Then I don't use them much when I play a Michael Jackson or Beatles song, but I can still play and I can still feel. And if I may play something, how's the sound? More?
It's fine. It's fine.
This is the altered sound. And then to see, like this is G7, sharp 9, or flat 9, sharp 11. And this is going back to C minor or C minor 6. So before I play that, I have a feeling of like, dun, and I know it's like, it
Dark,
drives
intense.
dark and tense, and it drives the music somewhere that I personally love. And I feel that if I'm playing a song, I don't know, a Billy Joel song, I could use that tension. Or maybe I play like Come Together, no? Like so that it's not exactly the original sound, but it's something that I feel. And if I connect like an altered scale, melodic minor scale, or even the 7 degrees and the 7 modes of the melodic minor to emotions, I I I can leave those scales more like with a feeling than just memorizing notes and memorizing positions. Does it make
Right.
sense? So anything that
Yes.
I practice has to be connected to an emotion. So then when I practice inversions, like you were saying before, I think the inversions drive music. Like if you are playing like C, then F. So, so the inversion is alive and it's telling me something about that musical moment. And it's a force. And you can play that on bass or anything. You can play, and that's an inversion. And when you hear it, like when you hear it in a song, oh, that's an inversion. It creates this feeling, right? Sorry. That's a driving force, like. So I'm so inspired by these things, and I never practice things like to 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 check that, like, oh, I
Yeah.
practice inversions. No, inversions are something very important to me because I love them when I hear them and I love them when I play them. And if I can create a reharm using inversions, that makes me happy, so I do it.
So you're talking about also talked about making your practice challenging, and you said you really love practicing, so you do it. Is there anything special you do inside it that is keeping you so interested and invested in it that you're looking forward to it every day?
um well, I also feel it's like a meditation for me. So whenever I feel sad or angry, which I don't usually feel angry, but I think it's because I during my life I practice frequently, and that connected me to something very deep. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just I try to challenge me.
Hmm.
For example, like I like to play with the metronome super slow or super fast. I don't know if we talked about this, but for example, I like to play with the metronome in the upbeats.
The E and
Yeah,
O on 160 BPM. I remember this exercise.
160. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So I can play for 30 minutes, and it's like playing a game. It's so much fun. I can play in 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1. Or really anything.
Hmm.
Sometimes when it's like 80 BPM, I practice in 40 or 20 or 10, and it's a lot of fun. It's like joyful, And I always like to think that because you are your own teacher, each person is their own teacher. You really know. Remember that question that you're talking about, like what do you like about your playing and what do you want to improve? And I think it's important to connect to what you like about your playing and the first memories you have playing music. For me, it was so joyful and innocent, and I just wanted to play music because I love music. The same that I feel today. But some people sometimes they forget about that because they get into in a different wheel, not the magical wheel. They get into I'm a professional musician right now, so I need to practice and I'm very serious right now. And they kind of lose that spark. For me, I like to talk about this a lot, and I like people to connect to that because so surprisingly enough, you're gonna get more gigs if you have that spark, if you really connect to that idea and you are that spark. So that applies to everything. Practicing, when I practice, I connect to that spark and with that joy, and I also feel like you sound like what you practice. So I just like to be free when I practice.
Right. I mean, I personally have been a victim of that situation where I just completely stopped having fun with music, because I always felt that I wanted to finish some scales or some arpeggios. Only then I'll feel good about myself and my playing. It was actually this truth that I wasn't playing the music I actually loved. And then when I started searching for it, I was searching for the right kind of challenges. Of course, there's a challenge in jazz, but it's not something I really connect to. And I was really investing my time into trying to make that happen. But then the love was missing, and there was no joy. Every solo I would play would sound like shit, because love and spark is not backing it up. It's all something that's supposed to be done. And I'm at no level saying that I would not do it later in my life, but it's just, sometimes it's not time. Sometimes it's just time to get into Beatles. Sometimes it's just time to learn to play that groove that was played by Pino Palladino, and you just start copying that time feel. You get invested into that so much, but then you get happy after that, because you did what you love, and you kept on moving forward from there. So in terms of transcription, Andres, you said you transcribe a lot. How exactly do you make your transcriptions flow into your playing? Because I also in the past have practiced solos, learned some solos. Some of them transitioned and some of them did not transition into my playing exactly. So do you have a clear thought out process to that if I transcribe something, how exactly I shift it to my playing?
Yeah, it's a good topic, and some people feel really threatened by that transcription, or they feel afraid. Oh, I need to transcribe, and that becomes something super serious. Like, oh, you know what? I'm transcribing. Right? Don't bother. It's like this is like I'm a serious musician right now, and I feel um, a good way to transcribe for me would be like just transcribe something that you really love. It can be John Coltrane, Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, or it can be Lennon McCartney. It can be some gospel bass line that you love, or some keyboard lines that you love, some horn lines, anything that you like, a melody. Just transcribe whatever you love. Don't go to the because I feel it's like the magic wheel that I've been talking a lot.
Hmm.
I feel it's driven by your true passion, like for music. So the more you do it, it's gonna shine more. And if you do it because somebody told you this is important in music, so then you don't connect to that music at all. So first, connect to and transcribe something that you really enjoy listening to, and you have a passion, because you're gonna be driven by some like a bigger force. Then I would suggest you don't need to transcribe the whole thing, and obviously you don't need to write it down. You need to learn what it is, and once you learn what it is, let's say it's 2 bars. You learn those 2 bars that you love, and then you analyze them. You figure out what's going on, in the melody, in the harmony, in the rhythm. What's going on in that person's mind, or in that musical idea, in that phrase. You analyze that. Then what I would suggest you do is you play that in 12 keys. You can start in the original key or in C. That's up to you. I practice in the cycle of fourth. So C, then F, then B flat, E flat, A flat. Everything that I practice in the cycle of fourth in 12 keys, because I feel that really connects the idea of me being able to have that in my repertoire, in my color palette. I like to call it that. So it becomes more abstract in a way. Once you practice things in 12 keys, it becomes more abstract and more musical. It's like an idea. It's not a repetition. Like you repeat exactly what you learn. You're like, oh, check this out. Chet Baker plays this line, and it sounds like Chet Baker. Then you practice 12 keys, and suddenly it becomes part of your own voice, but in a different way, because you're not Chet Baker, you're somebody else. So you can transcribe the whole thing. You could whether write it down or not. That's really up to you. But I would suggest you analyze and you practice in 12 keys. Slowly, there's no rush. And a different way of transcription that I currently use is like, and this applies for bass, of course. I I I love to transcribe melodies in general, any instrument, voice, anything, melody and harmony. And one thing that I love doing is I don't do it with the bass most of the time. Just sit down on the piano. Yesterday I was we were listening to we were walking in the street, and there was this song by Aerosmith playing. I think it's called Crazy.
Hmm.
And I was like, hey, that's a great song. So I want to learn that song. And I was transcribing that song yesterday.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, this it's just the love really, it speeds up the whole process. It speeds up that wheel that you're talking about. And
Gives meaning too.
yes, it makes you a solid human being. It makes you build trust in yourself. And I think that's one of the most important things as a musician when it comes to being present on stage with a spark that you keep
Yeah.
talking about. So I remember asking you long back when I wanted to ask you how to solo. And I was waiting for an answer where I thought I'll ask you and you will tell me you should transcribe or you should learn these arpeggios and you should, follow this step by step approach. And your answer was very interesting. You asked me, how much time are you spending soloing? I said zero. And you said just invest 30 minutes into soloing and you will be able to solo. I just couldn't believe it. So I did not keep that answer with me. But what has happened is that so much you have taught and said to me long ago. This is one aspect that you said that time, that just invest time into soloing and you will be able to solo. The other thing was that I asked you, how do you play walking bass? And you said that learn the lines from one standard, learn to play them, then start playing what you hear over the chord changes, right? You did not tell me to start practicing arpeggios and triads and approach tones. How does that work? Like, do you look at walking bass, like this is my approach to it now, that for it to be, in order for it to be melodic, it needs to be something that is almost like a quarter note bass solo, that one chord is uh, being defined by the bass line in such a beautiful manner that it's almost like a solo being played in quarter notes and becomes like a little composition running behind the standard that you're comping for, the musician you are playing bass for. How do you look at it, particularly walking bass?
I think you have to obviously listen to the style and get a feeling of that. Get to play with people too. Otherwise, it becomes really technical. Like it's like a theory, but it's not alive. So by listening and playing with people, then I feel it's like an energy. Once you get that, it's like energy. And yeah, I mean that philosophy of go do it. And I think my daughter is a big teacher for me. She's 4. She just turned 4, and we just play music all the time. And she has an amazing sense of creativity, and just like any kid. But I play any chord and she sings with that.
Yeah, I
It's
saw
like
that video on Facebook that you put. You're just changing harmony and she's going like, and it's all sitting inside the sounds.
yeah. And I try to challenge her without her knowing, but she knows. I just change harmonies and I just change keys, and she always goes there because it's a game, And she didn't go to music school. Like she's not serious about it, and she doesn't care about sounding good or not good, which is something that
Andres, sorry to
you know.
bother you. Can you roll
Yeah.
off the volume of your bass because it's coming in and going out while you're talking? So it's kind of,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, just
Yeah.
roll off the knob. That's it. Yeah. So she's not gone to school, you were saying.
She's my daughter. She's 4,
Yeah.
and we just play music at home for fun, and we have a lot of fun together. And I think that's a great, for me, it's a great lesson in like how we want to go to music school and we want to get serious and we want to like I think walking baselines is exactly the same. You just learn what you have to learn, and you get opportunities to play that style, because otherwise as I said before, it becomes really theoretical and it's not really music. And you just do it. And that's what with my daughter. I think she has perfect pitch. I tell her to sing a C and she sings. And I play any chord and she sings the song in the original key. Why? Because we have fun playing music. We spend time playing like a game. And that's the spirit I think you can have when you want to learn something new, like walking bass lines. You learn the theory, and you play that a lot and make mistakes. And I think people are afraid of mistakes. I love mistakes. I really I love making mistakes. It gives me like inspiration to go there and learn more. But like I'm gonna give you an example. I when I moved from New York to Argentina, I realized the reason why I wanted to live in New York was because I was so inspired by the musical scene of the 50s, like the jazz scene, like how great those musicians were, for me. And I knew that at that moment they would play live almost every day, maybe twice a day. So they would really be there learning on stage, playing that style, making mistakes, of course, and communicating.
Mm.
And I didn't have that in New York. I was playing every Sunday, church music, and I was touring, but I didn't feel that level of intensity. So when I realized I wanted to move back to Argentina, which I love the music here, I love singers here, I was like, I'm gonna go back to Argentina, but I'm gonna have that thing that I couldn't have in New York, that I was dreaming that I would find in New York, which is learning by playing so much. So I was talking to a club, like a venue here, and I told them, hey, I have this idea. And again, I was being really honest about that. I have this idea of playing duo music, bass and vocals live every week, once a week, with different singers every time. So we call this bajo bar, which means like like a piano bar. This is like a bass bar. A bass bar. And I learned so much by playing every week with a different singer, different set list, live. And you know what I learned the most is about my mistakes. When I made a mistake, I was like, thank you. Because now I know what to practice, and that gives me like the direction. So if you want to learn walking bass lines, just find opportunities to play that with real people and aim for mistakes. And the more you do it, the more you're gonna get there. And again, like my daughter is a great teacher for me, because I feel that she sings all the time. Like she's like like a musical comedy or like a Disney movie that they are singing something that is happening to them, and you're like, yeah, that doesn't happen in real life. Well, that happens to my daughter. She sings stories, and whenever she's singing, I go to the piano or whatever instrument I have nearby, and she sing, and I play some harmony, and it's amazing. And I feel that she's, in my opinion, so great at that. It's because she does it a lot, and she really has fun with that, and she loves doing that. So whatever you want to learn, just connect to the joy of that. And if it doesn't make you happy, don't practice that. If walking bass lines don't make you happy, so then don't do it.
Such a wise advice that is. And it's just that whole people getting stuck, and I've been there. I mean, just getting stuck in what you're supposed to do rather what you want to do. It's just so fascinating and so interesting, and all the I talk to so many people. Sometimes they want to study, so I said do a trial lesson, and I just realized that they're confused. It's not that they can't play. It's not like I have to give them an exercise and everything's going to be fine. But things I've learned from you, things I've learned from Pana, I actually give them those advices which work for me. I just kind of put the word out that what you would have suggested me if I would have asked the same questions, that I don't feel like I'm growing. Then all these things, find the love, find what you are inclined towards, and just jump into it, and things will start happening. This advice of finding a weekly gig is so interesting, because I did not know any pop repertoire, and there was a band I started playing with, which found a weekly gig in a bar, and we had to play Beatles and Brian Adams and all that repertoire, the general pop, old pop repertoire. And I actually learned it there, because I don't come from that culture. My father is fully Punjabi, and we haven't heard any kind of rock and roll or anything like that growing up. I heard Elvis very late in my life. I heard Beatles very late in my life. And when I say late, I would say like 7 years ago. That's how late
Okay.
I was to the party. And actually, you introduced me when we met at Sam, that, hey, Beatles music, this and that. Before that, I'll just say, because people will ask me, have you heard the Beatles? And I'm already playing sessions. So I'll lie to them sometimes. Yeah, bro, I have. So can you prepare those songs and come tomorrow? I said, I will. Because I trusted my ear that I'll learn stuff and I'll go. And that's how things started developing. Even Victor Wooten, when I heard somewhere how he had a restaurant job where he had to play bass by himself, and that's when he started developing all these lines where he could play melodies and bass lines, and then use the looper. Because when you hear him play a song, it's so the bass starts singing with all the vocal inflections. That's how deeply he plays. That video of yesterday that he has done, it's different in a way, that it's just like, it sounds like a voice coming out of the bass. And I was listening to some gospel song recently where the bass player is doing the same. He's playing some famous gospel song. I don't remember the name of the song, but he's playing the melody in a way on one string that it kind of puts him in a place where he has to play those inflections like a voice would sing it. So it comes out in a very, very beautiful and interesting manner. So when you think about the life that you wanted for yourself as a musician, is this what you looked forward to, that I reach a place that I have a family I can take care of, I have enough funds for myself, I'm sharing my joy with the rest of the people in the world, I'm teaching, I'm sharing my knowledge and expanding my empire of students, let's say. And this is this the life you imagine for yourself?
Not at all, and that's a good thing. I imagine different things, and I love, you know, some wise person told me one time, like, it's so important to get surprised, and I feel like I got so surprised, and I love that. I felt that when I started, I wanted to be a session player. I wanted to, you know, accompany singers, just be in a band, touring band, maybe record. And I realized I'm not completely that person. Although I've done that, I feel that I wanted to be in the background. I didn't want to be playing solo or playing duos or have my name featured on a tour. I never dreamed of that. I actually didn't want that. But I felt it's like my calling. It's stronger than me. So I was so surprised, and I'm so surprised right now, even with the online courses that I started. A lot of people joined, and they are happy, and I never could never dream of that. And I'm just happy to be surprised in the future. And one thing is for sure is that everything that I'm doing, I'm doing it with passion and love, and that's awesome. But I felt that I've connected to my calling, to what I really want to do, and my own voice. And I always advise that to, like, really, like, connect to your own voice. Don't listen to somebody telling you you have to practice this or you have to play that music. Just play whatever you love playing, and obviously you're gonna learn on the way. You have to play some things to know if that's your calling. But I feel that I'm really connecting and connected to the music I have in my imagination, and that's a blessing for me, and for that I'm thankful. And for sure, it's not what I imagined at all.
Amazing, Andres. Is there anything you would like to add for students of music? It's just been fantastic talking to you. We just crossed an hour, and I know you are short on time and you have to leave. Also, anything, any advice for musicians and people who are listening?
Um, just write down on a piece of paper what you like about your playing. Think about that, and yeah, write down also what you want to improve, and write down what your short-term goals are, and write down what your long-term goals are. Sometimes we forget about that, and just connect to the music that you love, and everything that you do has to be connected in music, obviously, to your goals. Because you're gonna open your eyes to opportunities and to ideas and to creation. So it's really really important to to get that magic wheel going.
Thank you, Andres.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so much
much,
for
Soro.
doing this. I love you very much. And I'm just all recharged again after talking to you after so many years. So many years.
Love you too, my friend.
I'm just stopping the recording for now. The call will be on.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming to the School of Bass podcast. We will meet next week. Bye bye.